For millions of retirees, 2025 is not just another year on the calendar. It is a turning point. Perhaps the most consequential moment in decades for those who depend on Social Security to survive. 10 new laws, set to take effect this year, are rewriting the rules of retirement, reshaping benefits, and altering the very fabric of how seniors plan, save, and spend in their final decades of life. Supporters call these reforms long overdue, designed to protect Social Security from collapse. Critics warn they could add confusion, raise anxiety, and even risk leaving the most vulnerable behind. Tonight, we break down these changes, one by one, and what they mean for you, your parents, and your future. It begins with a reality check. For years, experts have warned that Social Security was under strain. Rising life expectancies, soaring healthcare costs, and the retirement of nearly 12,000 baby boomers every single day have pushed the system to its limits. In 2024, the Social Security Administration issued its annual report, quietly forecasting that without changes, the trust fund could face shortfalls within a decade. The alarm bells were hard to ignore. And so, in 2025, lawmakers stepped in. The result? 10 major laws, each carrying profound consequences for ordinary people. The first law is perhaps the most visible. Cost of living adjustments, or COLA, will be recalculated using a new retirement inflation index. Instead of relying on the traditional consumer price index, which critics said underestimated the real cost of seniors' lives, this new formula places greater weight on food, rent, and healthcare, 3 categories retirees spend the most on. Supporters argue this means seniors will finally see increases that reflect reality. But skeptics warn the formula is untested, and some economists suggest it could add billions in costs over the next decade, forcing further reforms down the road. For an 82-year-old widow in Toronto, it might mean an extra $45 a month, enough for a week of groceries. For others, it may barely cover the price of 2 prescription copays. The second law focuses on minimum benefit thresholds. Beginning July 2025, no retiree with 30 or more years of contributions will receive less than 125% of the poverty line. In real numbers, that sets a floor of roughly $22,000 a year for single retirees and about $29,000 for couples. For many Canadians and Americans living just above or below that threshold, the difference could mean keeping their apartment instead of moving in with family, or affording fresh produce instead of relying on food banks. Yet critics ask, who will pay for it? Younger workers already contributing 12.4% of their wages question whether they are carrying too heavy a burden. The third law deals with the retirement age. While the official full retirement age remains at 67, incentives are shifting. Starting in 2025, delayed retirement credits grow faster, by 9% annually instead of 8%, for those who wait past 67. On paper, it's a reward for staying in the workforce, but for those physically unable to keep working, nurses with bad backs, construction workers with worn joints, this incentive feels like a penalty. For them, it is not a choice. It is a reminder that policy often favors those in offices, not those on factory floors. The fourth law targets spousal and survivor benefits. Lawmakers say they are modernizing the rules to reflect today's dual-income households. A new formula calculates spousal benefits based on combined lifetime earnings, instead of just the higher earners. Advocates say this prevents women, especially widows, from falling into poverty. But families already navigating the loss of a loved one may find the recalculations confusing, with paperwork stretching months, even years. The fifth law introduces automatic enrollment in Social Security-linked savings accounts. Every worker under 40 will now have an attached retirement account, partially funded by small payroll deductions. It's being hailed as the second pillar of retirement security. Yet seniors ask, how does this help those already retired today? For a 70-year-old living on $1,400 a month, this new system feels like a promise made too late. The sixth law changes the rules for earnings limits on early retirees. Previously, anyone collecting benefits before full retirement age faced strict penalties if they continued working. Beginning in 2025, those limits will nearly double, allowing retirees to earn up to $29,000 without losing benefits. For part-time workers, school bus drivers, store clerks, seasonal workers, this flexibility could mean independence. Critics argue it encourages early claims, further straining the system. The seventh law focuses on taxation of benefits. Currently, up to 85% of Social Security income can be taxed, depending on total income. Starting next year, that threshold rises, shielding more low- and middle-income retirees from taxes. A retiree in Edmonton with $28,000 of annual income could now see their tax bill drop by $600. A small number on paper, but in practice, the difference between paying for medication or skipping doses. But wealthier retirees call it unfair, saying the system is tilting too far toward redistribution. The eighth law creates new caregiver credits. For parents, most often mothers, who left the workforce to raise children or care for aging relatives, those years will no longer count as zeros in benefit calculations. Instead, caregivers will receive credit for average earnings during those years, boosting their eventual retirement checks. For one retired mother of 3, this might mean an extra $180 a month, money that brings dignity, not luxury. But opponents argue the system is already complicated enough without layering in new exceptions. The ninth law is about digital access. Beginning in October 2025, every retiree will receive a secure digital Social Security account, complete with real-time benefit calculators, direct communication lines, and fraud alerts. For tech-savvy seniors, this is empowerment. But for an 85-year-old without internet access, it feels like exclusion. Senior advocacy groups warn that unless paper-based services remain robust, digital reform could leave the most vulnerable behind. And finally, the 10th law introduces annual financial health reviews. Starting in December 2025, retirees receiving benefits will be encouraged, though not required, to participate in voluntary reviews that track spending, debt, and savings. The goal, according to officials, is to prevent poverty in late life. But for some, it feels like government overreach, a bureaucratic intrusion into private lives. Still, proponents argue that guidance could help seniors avoid scams, manage medical bills, and stretch limited resources. Together, these 10 laws represent the most sweeping changes to Social Security in a generation. For seniors, it is both a moment of hope and of fear. Hope that the system might finally catch up to the realities of modern retirement. Fear that the very promise of Social Security, that after a lifetime of work, one should live with dignity, could be slipping away. And so, the question remains, will 2025 be remembered as the year Social Security was saved, or the year it became unrecognizable? Only time will tell. For now, retirees wait, watch, and hope. And as always, if you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more updates, and share it with family and friends who need to know what lies ahead. Because these changes affect us all, whether we are already retired, planning for retirement, or simply hoping that when our time comes, the system will still be there.